California Congressman Ed Royce, Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Sir, good morning to you, and thank you for your time on this. It appears you've got a lot of support there in Washington. First of all, what do you want to do to the program?
Well, what we want to do to the program is really twofold. One, there's an automatic visa waiver program with most of the countries in Europe, which would, in theory, allow those who go into Syria to fight with and train with ISIS and then come back to Europe to automatically have the ability to fly here into the United States. We want to end that. We want them vetted. So we will do this with the legislation. And secondarily, we have a problem with stolen passports and passports that document fraud is used. So you saw this in Honduras with 5 Syrians trying to get into the United States with stolen passports. Both of these issues will be addressed in this legislation.
Okay, now on the vetting, can you tell me specifically how your vetting program, as you envision it, would be better than what we have right now? Because that's the concern.
I can, because what it would do is surface the 5,000 foreign fighters who have traveled out of the European theater into Syria in order to train and carry out these attacks. There is a record of this that the Europeans have in terms of those who have left. We want access to that information. No more automatic flights to the United States.
Okay.
Instead, we want that flagged. We want that flagged,
now,
and we're going to force the European countries to do
You were just in Europe, right? You were just in London just a week or two ago.
Yes, I was.
Now, you know, I mean, the refugees moving across the Western European continent, there is so little record of so many of them. So how would this program be better?
Oh, because what we're documenting in the legislation is anyone who's been in Syria or Iraq or other countries that are state sponsors of terrorism. Therefore, it would no longer be automatic entry into the United States. Therefore, we would be able to tell that these people are trying to come in on a visa.
So that
automatically they wouldn't be allowed to.
That is a distinction then. Based on where they've been, you would see that stamp if the passport's legit, and they would not be allowed in. Which countries would that apply to?
It would primarily apply to Syria and Iraq. It would also apply, in theory, to Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism as well.
All right. This program's huge, and I don't think, well, I didn't know this, and I don't think our viewers did either. On the screen, the permits free travel for 20 million visitors, some 40% of all overseas visitors per year. Visitors arrive from 38 different countries. Is it also true that they can arrive on this program without a passport?
And so the problem with the Visa Waiver Program is that you could have individuals, and let me just give you an example. 2 of those who attacked, including one who was the bomber who blew himself up outside of the stadium, traveled into Belgium and France on these specific Syrian passports. They came in through Greece. They hid with the refugee population coming in from Syria. We know that ISIS has directed their own rank and file in the technique of how to sneak in with refugees. That's part of what they do. And so, as a consequence of this plan by ISIS, in order to try to penetrate the West, we now have them training in bomb making and in use of automatic weapons inside Syria, and then telling individuals, try to figure to get back into your host country, try to carry out attacks like we saw in Paris and elsewhere.
You have bipartisan support, and the White House is on board. Is that accurate to say?
I think the White House has to be on board, because we are going to pass this with such an overwhelming margin in the House and Senate. And you saw this on the last debate on the legislation on the Syrian refugees, where we picked up 47 Democrats and therefore had basically a veto override situation here. And I think more and more of the Democratic rank and file are seeing what the Republicans are arguing here, which is this is a national security concern in which ISIS says it's at war with the United States and other Western countries. It's going to try to kill all apostates, to use their word. They're going to carry this battle to women and children. That's what they said after the Paris attacks. So it's incumbent upon us to take these steps now, and that's what we're doing.
One question, I need a quick answer. Does that have anything to do with the K-1 visa program with fiancés, as we saw in California?
And this is another thing we're going to have to look at, because as we know in this particular situation, you also have ISIS with a 4-page manual to show how to use the internet and to show, and they're also trying to instruct people in how to get illegally into the United States and legally into the United States. And on top of this, one other aspect of that plan, they now have a 24-hour hotline where if you want help with security and you want to join ISIS, they will help you set this up and encrypt your messages so that it's harder for us in the United States to find out what ISIS fighters are doing here. So this is a very important development.
We've got a lot of work to do. Thank you for your time today. Ed Royce will watch you through the House today. Appreciate your